All right. Well, everybody else, thanks for coming. In the meantime, we'll see if we can get Kamal and Adam up here. Oh, here comes Adam. But yeah, thanks for coming. I see a lot of familiar faces, which is super cool. And speaking of gratitude, like first of all, just I'm super grateful for all of you guys. Honestly, like you guys that tune in week after week, just do so much to support me, keep it going. So really grateful for you guys and appreciate you guys. What up, Grinny? How you doing, bro?
Yo, Tesho, I love what you're doing here, man. I'm happy to be here. It's been a while since I've done a Tuesdays with Tesho, so forgive me, but I'm happy to be on for this one especially.
Yeah, of course. I had to I had to tell you specifically about this one at the facility today because you are Mr. Grateful himself. So I was like, um, we need Mr. Grateful out here. So it's
I
good to have you. This is like the perfect one for you to be at.
Yo, I appreciate that, man. Like to be known as Mr. Grateful himself, coming from you, that means a lot. So if I can hop on here and share a little gratitude or talk about my practices, man, like I'm all about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, yeah, I wonder where I should start. Maybe I got like some thoughts in general. Maybe I'll just start there. I guess
Yeah.
that's where I'm gonna start. Okay, so I guess I'm like, why am I doing this one about gratitude? It's just like you said, like to spread good vibes, man. Uh,
Yeah.
I feel like I try all the time, like in the facility, in my life, whatever, just to spread good vibes because I feel like energy is contagious. Like I literally believe that. Just like every day when we come in the morning and I see you and you're just like bopping in there, super happy, like it's contagious. Or Urso comes in and gives us a hug or whatever. Like it's just a great way to start the day. So I feel like energy is contagious, gratitude is contagious. So I'm trying to spread that around, man.
Absolutely. No, I think it's a good topic to bring up, man. And we you can sense it, right? For anybody, like in our locker room or with people and their coworkers, like who you are around, and you can sense when people are truly like in a good space or feeling grateful for life, and that's infectious, and you want to be around those kind of people. So if you can do anything to help yourself be that person, like why wouldn't you want to do that? You want to like be
Yeah,
the person that you want to be around. So I feel like you're awesome at it, man. Like you said, Urso, like we're lucky to have such a locker room of dudes that are just rad to be around. Good energy.
yeah. With Urso especially, it's so funny because he looks like he's all tatted up. He does his bear celebration and he's in here hugging everyone every morning. So it's pretty funny. Like everyone thinks like, oh, Urso's some scary guy, and he's literally the nicest person in our locker room.
Dude, I was so surprised too because I came in kind of mid-season last year and I'd watched him play 2020 and I didn't really know him and I just thought, man, this guy's kind of intense. He's got a neck
Yeah,
tat, and then he was like the sweetest dude, such a good soul.
he's a teddy bear. So I guess let me ask you, because obviously, like in my opinion, you're one of literally the most grateful people I know. How did that happen for you? Have you always been that way, or did something happen to make you that way?
Uh, Honestly, man, I think I was blessed with super good parents growing up that were really positive. My mom was big on power of positive thinking, so I think I was sort of immersed in it growing up. I'm just really fortunate for that. But personally, I think I took that on like probably 4 years ago. Um, I just remember a church service, the pastor was talking about a practice that he had been doing for years that really helped him. And it's just the basic write down three things you're grateful for. And he said he does it every single day. And that it took him like 2 years to get the habit down. But now that he's done it, it's changed his life. And I just remember thinking, how easy is that? Like, if it really could change your life, like I'll try that. I'll give it a try. And it took me about 2 years to actually get it down, but I actually nailed it down. And I do this simple practice, man. And I feel like it's changed my life, genuinely.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Literally, like, hold up, I think I just posted it to the top so everybody could see. Yeah, I what's it called? I put
Oh,
a
you
poll
tweeted
out
it.
and I asked people, yeah, how
Yeah,
often do you write down what you're grateful for? 72% of people said never, you know?
never. Wow.
And I mean, I can't even blame people because I was like that most of the time. Like, I didn't write it down, but literally, I started doing the same thing as you. I don't know exactly I think reading Atomic Habits actually is what sparked
Yeah.
me to start journaling every day and just writing down what I'm grateful for. And bro, I swear it just like, it puts you in such a good mood, man. Like, it makes you really conscious of the things you like and you don't like in your life. like from the small things to, like literally I'll like a lot of times I eat oatmeal with blueberries in the morning, and I just like I'll write that down every once in a while. Just like I really love my oatmeal with blueberries, and like just starting your day like thinking like I'm so grateful for like a super small thing like that. It makes a big difference. I feel like it really sets the tone for the day.
It does, man. I feel like, especially if you do it at the start of the day, if you really want to like make that the framework of your day, just to think of three basic things, big things, whatever, and but then write it down. And even if you just take 30 seconds, kind of dwell on it, like, man, I am really grateful for this awesome dining room table that I got just because I play soccer. Like that's a really small thing that I could easily take for granted, but if you look at it holistically, you can just, I don't know, change the way you think about the tiniest things and look at it in a more grateful way.
Yeah. Do you ever go back through your journals and like look at what you wrote that you're thankful for and stuff or grateful for?
I do, yeah, man. I don't look back at my journals very often, but because I fill them up pretty quick, and I've had a lot. But I remember recently looking at one from 2019, and I just or 2018, which is actually my first year with Orlando City, and just some of the things I was grateful for was like, I'm so grateful that they give me breakfast at the training facilities. It was just like little
Yeah.
things like that, and it just kind of taking me back, like how, at that time it seemed like so much, but it is interesting just to see how you were thinking about things at different times.
Yeah, I think too. Like at least for me, because I kind of I write my journal every day, and like that's part of what I do is write what I'm grateful for. And then at the start of every new week, like I go back through the last week's journal
Yeah.
and just like reflecting on what I've written down that I'm grateful for. I feel like has helped me be more intentional about like, oh, like I wrote that I was grateful that I got to go on a walk with my son. So like make more time to go on a walk with your son. Like
Mhm.
it's I feel like it's helped me that way because sometimes you might just go through life and you like had a good day, but you didn't really think about like why was it such a good day, and then you don't try to like have more of those good days.
Yeah.
So I feel like go like write like, and that's why writing it down is so important. And even for me, I thought it was so corny before, like people talking about journaling, writing stuff down. I was like, man, this is corny, dude. Like I'm not writing it down. Like I
It's
know what
true.
I'm grateful for, whatever. But I swear it makes a big difference. I swear it makes a big difference.
I agree, man. Until you actually do it and experience kind of how it can change things. I'm the same way. I didn't think anything of it. I was not a journaler, or I didn't like writing things down at all. But once I started, I literally got a journal to try and start that gratitude practice. And now I actually will like journal intentionally about what's going on in my life and what's going on in my day versus scripture, whatever I come across that day in the morning. And it's like, it's changed my life for the better, no doubt.
Yeah. You're a paper journal kind of guy. I just use my the computer. There's this like website called Notion.
Yeah.
Anybody who's been struggling like doesn't want to use a regular journal, I recommend Notion. Like you can use it for all kinds of stuff, but I use it for a journal partly. So yeah, you can just keep track of like everything you're doing. So whether you write it down on a book, write it down piece of paper, whatever, write it down on the computer, it makes a big difference. So
So is this like a part of your daily practice, Tesh? Like something you do every single day that you've implemented into your daily routine?
yeah, I try to, and like I know people always like I don't know. People kind of talk crap about like if you say, "Oh, I have a morning routine" or whatever. But whatever, I have a morning routine. Like I'm not ashamed of it. Like I try to for the most part. I'll say I do this like 80% of mornings because especially with kids and stuff like and traveling, it's hard to do it every day. But
Yeah.
80% of the time, like I wake up and I meditate and then I do this like little yoga routine, breathing thing, and then I journal. So I kind of do those things in the morning, and I swear, like it's just such a good start to the day. Literally, I feel so much more energized, and I wake up earlier to do it. Like
Yeah.
before I was waking up at like 6:50, and my son wakes up at 7. But now I'm waking up at like 5:30. I've been for the last few years, like waking up at 5:30, and I have more energy. And I
Yeah.
swear it's because that like time to just like reflect, set your intention for each day is so helpful.
Yeah. No, that's so good, man. I feel the same way. I feel like the same thing where I was saying it took for, I don't know, over a year for me to really lock down every single day, trying to write down three things I was grateful for. The same thing. It took me forever to get in the routine of waking up an extra 30 to 45 minutes earlier than I normally would, just so I can have that morning routine. But once you get that rhythm, it like totally it's giving me more energy, it's giving me a better positive perspective going into my day. And I feel like I'm a better version of myself when I first start interacting with my wife or with any of the players I come into contact with in the morning or any of the staff members. Like I've kind of set myself up for success with interactions with other people.
Straight up, for sure. Hey, what's up, Fabian?
Hey, what's up, guys? I had a question for you both. What would you guys have to say to someone that's not as, let's say, blessed or in their eyes, right? What would be a word of advice for someone that maybe hasn't achieved their goals or maybe hasn't gotten to that place of where they want to be? Thank you.
I think that's a great question, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, like, it's all relative. Anybody listening to this is blessed, you know, like, obviously there's different degrees of how blessed we are and stuff, but anybody listening to this, like, you're in a first world country, you got the internet, like you ate today, like you're blessed. Like even if you think your life is tough, and like I'm sure some people really do, like you guys have tough lives, I know it for
For
sure.
sure.
Just start at the basic things, you know, like start at the little things. It's like I was saying, I'll write down I like my oatmeal with my blueberries, or literally some days I'll write down like I'm grateful that I can hear and like I have all five senses, like wherever you need to start at, and then just build up from there. So I guess that's what I would say.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. No, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Mitch. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, sorry to jump in, but I mean, let's look at what's going on in the world right now too, right? Like, we're not in Ukraine,
Exactly,
so
yeah.
I mean that's one thing that I think we just take for granted.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, you know what they call like keeping up with the Joneses. Every like people will always feel like there's always a next level that you could be chasing. You know,
Yeah.
even for us as pro athletes, I'll be like, oh man, I'm a pro athlete, but I'm a forward, but I've never scored as many goals as Carlos Vela or whatever, and then not be grateful because of that. But it's like it doesn't matter. You know, like the that's the a way to be unhappy is to just keep comparing yourself to others. So I think just compare yourself to yourself, man. Just be grateful for what you got here. What do you think, Adam?
No, I totally agree. Like the things, like even in the toughest stages of my life, like I mean, it's all relative, like you said, Tesh. But even when things aren't going well, if I'm still maintaining that practice, I'm just sitting there like, yo, I'm grateful that I can walk to my dog today or something. You know, it's just
Yeah,
it's so simple, but just thinking about your life from taking a step back from the tough things or the good things that are going on in your life, and just being like, "Yo, I'm breathing today, and I'm doing something in my life that I enjoy, even if it's small, and I want to focus on that because there are a lot of things in my life that are tough right now, but I'm gonna do my best to focus on how great these few things are."
bro. Speaking of that, I don't know. Do you want to talk a little bit about just like your knee injury and that process? Because I feel like that's a good story for people to hear. And I mean, you stayed pretty positive through that, and that was tough.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just for context, in 2020 during COVID, I tore my ACL when I was out in Sacramento, which was where I went to after I played 2 years here in Orlando. And I actually had just finished Atomic Habits. Shout out Tesho's favorite book.
Yes,
And
sir.
one of the chapters was setting systems instead of goals. And it was just about, instead of setting goals for yourself, you can also consider your life as like, hey, I have these systems that make me me. So I just like hashed out 5 or 6 things that were like, all right, my faith, my attitude, my diet, my sleep, all these things that I felt like if I focus on these 5, 6 things and have two goals in each of these 5 or 6 things and do those things every day, that's going to be a full day, right? Like I'm going to build into these systems that help make me feel like a better version of myself. And one of them was attitude. And one of my goals, one of the two goals from the attitude was do my gratitude practice every single day. And I think maintaining that attitude of gratitude, right? The old cliche, but maintaining that through the dark times of the knee injury definitely helped me kind of get through the worst of it, no doubt.
Yeah, man. And I like kind of going back to what Fabian was saying, like, you know, we are super blessed that we're professional athletes. And then, but then for you, like, you got that knee injury and you didn't know if that was going to end. Like, that could have just ended. You were, what, 28 years old, right?
Yeah.
And it could have just been over, completely over. So, you know, it's tough. Like, it's good to keep perspective of like, of that. Even when you think you're up or you're down, like, things can change in a moment, you know. But I love that you just said you went back to the basics. That's super dope. Like, you're like, what are the things that, you know, like I am complete control of, and like start there and build yourself up from there always.
Well, yeah. And like man, I didn't know if my career was going to be over. I didn't know, like, my knee got infected. I didn't know if I was going to have another surgery. So I was like really in the dark, and I just felt, okay, there's a lot of bad things going on right now. And I was alone in Sacramento too. Like, I was out there during COVID, before I was married, no family, no friends, just like trying to go through it alone. And I was like, all right, I need to take control of my like mental game as best as I can. And that started with just shifting my perspective to, okay, things are really tough right now, but at the end of the day, like, hey, I'm still getting paid. I maybe I'm alone, but I've got friends I can call. Just trying to look at it in a different way, and that was a challenge, man. There's no doubt that was a challenge, but yet, like, making that intentional effort was half the battle. And some days I was good, some days I was bad, but man, at least I was going for it.
Yeah, at least you're going for it. That's what it's all about. Like, it's hard to be 100% there,
Yeah.
but at least you're going for it. All right, two things I want to say real quick. Number one is, anybody in here, please, like, feel free to retweet the space. I think I pinned it to the top somewhere. So if you could retweet it, help other people get in here, that'd be great. And number two is, if you notice my cool new profile picture, shout out to Marima, she's in the crowd right now. She drew that for me, which is super awesome. Like, I honestly, like, yesterday I got it, and talk about being grateful. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So shout out to Marima. If anybody needs some art, hit her up, because she is the truth. Go follow her on Twitter, follow her on Instagram, especially. She's got cool art. So go follow her. And she's here listening too. So, and then what's up, Kelly? How you doing?
Well, hello everyone. First off, happy Tuesday. Second, I actually just wanted to go back to the point about how you kind of get stuck in comparison between yourself and others. And I used to do that all the time. I still catch myself doing it now, if I'm being honest. But one thing that really, really helped me was, instead of comparing myself now to somebody else, I compared myself now to my past. So I would go, 5 years ago, I wouldn't even imagine that I'd be even trying this. Like, and here I am trying for it, going for it. And I'm not giving a crap about anything else. Like, I'm just taking that risk and doing it. Like, I would have never had the balls to do it, and now I do. And it's like, you can gain so much more perspective on your journey and your accomplishments that way. And it helps you really find out exactly what to be grateful for when you are really struggling, so that sometimes you don't go to the basics, but you go from, well, this is where I was and now here I am. Like, I'm grateful for that in of itself. So I just had to touch on that point, because I think it's a huge help when you're trying to compare yourself to others, to kind of get distracted from that and then stay away from it, and instead focus on yourself and the progress that you made instead.
Yeah, that's so true. I love that you said that. And I think, like, for us as athletes, that's a huge thing for athletes to keep in mind, because let's say someone like Adam, especially because he's a goalie, so he knows exactly who he's competing with. And so he's competing with, it's him, Pedro, and Mason are the three goalies. And he can say every day, like, oh, am I playing as much as these guys, or am I playing as well as these guys? And it's just going to drive him crazy, But if he just saying, like, am I Adam playing better than Adam was yesterday? And, like, the same as me as a forward or as a winger or whatever, like, if I say, am I Tesho, like, am I doing the best I can, instead of just, like, competing with the other people out there, it makes a big difference.
That's so good. That's a great point, Kelly.
Yeah, thanks for coming up and saying that, Kelly. Anybody else too? I'd love to hear from you guys in the crowd. Like, what do you think about gratitude? Do you write your stuff down? You got any good stories of gratitude, stuff like that? I'd love to hear from you guys, and just, spread the positivity. Oh, here we go. We got my guy Cody. What's up, Fabian?
Yeah, hey Tesho, I had a question for you. What's something you've been grateful for in your MLS career? I know Adam had like a big injury and getting back on the field, but Tesho, what's something that you're grateful for in your MLS career? Thank you.
I mean, I'm just grateful to even have an MLS career, to be honest. Like, because, like, literally I went to a D2 school. I was going to be an electrical engineer, and I didn't really even think about playing professional soccer. And then when I did get drafted, I was like, all right, this is going to be great. Like, maybe I'll be able to play for 3 years or something and have, like, a good career, and then become an engineer. Like, even when I got drafted, I thought I was going to become an engineer within, like, 3 years. And now here I am 9 years later, still playing soccer. So honestly, literally every single day, I feel just super happy. I feel like I'm playing on house money all the time. Cody, what's up, my
What's up?
guy?
Fabian just stole the question, but I'll definitely shoot the shot for you and Adam. What's the biggest things you guys appreciate in the players? Like, what's the biggest thing that you learn something, or you got a, I don't know, something that makes you like, man, I'm really thankful to have this person by my side.
I'll
Go
take
ahead,
it.
Adam.
Yeah, I'll take it quick. I think, especially with teammates, you have so many different teammates that come and go, and you have so many different teammates that come from different walks of life, different teams, different playing experiences. I mean, we've got guys that have played in World Cups, played in Euros, played in some of the best leagues in the world, and they're our teammates now. We play alongside them every day. And I think what I appreciate most is guys like that who they don't care who you are. They just look at you as their teammate, and they're willing to, to still have that humility to be like, no, like you're my guy that I play with now, and we're gonna work together. And they don't look at themselves as better than you or coming from a better place. I think it's just cool to have guys of such high status and high success come to MLS and share their experiences, share their wisdom, and just help make everybody around them better. So I think we've been super lucky at Orlando to have a ton of guys come in and bring that. I love seeing that in guys and getting to know guys on a personal level outside of just their soccer successes.
Yeah, I mean, for me too, kind of piggybacking off what Adam said, is just like there's so many people from all over the world. Like, I don't know if I would have ever met Brazilians. Like, and now I know so many Brazilians. Like it's so cool, and just like you just get a different perspective, get to see different cultures and stuff like that. I've really enjoyed that. So.
I'm really thankful for you guys and everybody that joins Tesho Tuesday, and just like a lot of the family that we got going on with the Twitter community. It's just really cool to have a bunch of you guys all come in here and share your minds, and then just meet you guys out in the stadium and stuff. It's been a very fortunate career this year, I guess. Like for Orlando, it's awesome to get in here and definitely become a family. This has definitely been motivating. I look forward to every Tuesday. Everything, I don't know. It's really positive that we get to do this, and it's a very amazing thing.
That's so good.
Yeah, man. And like I said at the beginning, I think you weren't here right at the beginning, but I was saying to everybody, like, I appreciate the people who are like here week after week, and you're definitely one of them. Like, you're always in here. So, I got love for you, Cody.
I appreciate
Appreciate you, man. Yes, sir.
off the field, man. You're an all-star, dude. I appreciate your motives. I appreciate your how you try to inspire us to do better, and then on top of that, you play your heart out every single game. And same with you, Adam. Like you guys, like it's amazing. I got to meet you like once, but it was really cool to get to know you off the field, I guess you could say, because you got to spend some time with us. But definitely amazing people. Orlando City has definitely got some good talent and good mindset out here.
Yeah, good people for sure.
No doubt.
What's up, Fabian? You had another question?
Yeah, I wanted to go ahead and ask, what's something you're grateful for? So if you want to go ahead and start this gratefulness activity, can you use the stuff that you said you were grateful for yesterday, or is it something new every day? Thank you.
Oh, I think just whatever feels right to you. Honestly, there's no rules about it. Like literally, what I do, I sit down and I look around the room. I think about what I did yesterday. I think what I'm about to do today. That's usually my process, and just that's kind of what I go off of. And sometimes it's the same thing. Like I obviously I write my wife and my kids down like all the time. I'm super grateful for them, and so sometimes I just like put the same thing over and over. Some days it's something new, but just whatever feels right to you. There's no rules.
I think just that act, like you said, Tesho, of taking the time to reflect, that's half the battle. Is just like thinking about what you appreciate in your life at that moment, and just making that effort to think that way kind of helps reshape your mind the more you do it. So if you're doing that every day, just trying to see it through a lens of gratitude, like that's going to over time change the way you think about your life overall. And I think that's something that, Tesho, I'm sure you've felt that shift in your life in a positive way, and that's why you probably keep coming back to it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we have an enemy in the house, so everybody be careful. Back in Black is over here. LAFC. I don't know. Is he you a blogger or you got a
Hey,
podcast or
first of all,
what?
my parents live in Orlando, so all the love to the Orlando people
Yeah, I
that
love
are
it.
in the house. And this is about gratitude. It's not about the enemy. But yes, I am a Los Angeles Football Club supporter. We do a little bit of spaces as well. And I'm so excited to be playing my East Coast fellas. We haven't seen each other since the 2020 COVID back to MLS tournament, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm really excited for the game this weekend, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I think you guys were doing something yesterday. You asked me to hop in, and I couldn't make it, but I'm glad that you were able to come over here, man, and just
Yeah, and
talk to us.
and then beyond the football, and if we do have a little time, we can talk about it. But beyond the football, I'm really impressed with this. I'm surprised by it. I wasn't sure what to expect out of these spaces, and just the positivity in here is it's really cool to see. And the fact that you're connecting with fans and different people and different walks of life really makes it special. And as a parent, I what I want to say is how much harder it's become for me to be grateful for things, because kids definitely test you a lot and you have to sort of keep your grateful face on a lot, and remind yourself what the long game is with them. So I really appreciate what you've kind of assembled here, honestly. And like I said, very surprised, and just wanted to kind of put my 2 cents in there, also as a parent more than anything, because it's been a ride for me with 2 kids, and I know for all of you out that have little ones, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, beyond that, man, I'm just excited to be here and listening in, and I just wanted to give everybody a shout out. Orlando's a great town. My parents lived there for a long time, and excited to once get a chance to visit the stadium.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So I got a few things that just popped in my mind while you're talking. Number one is your boy Ryan Hollingshead. He plays for LAFC. He's gonna be on my show next Tuesday, so make sure you tune in next Tuesday. Bring all your friends. Maybe you guys can outnumber the Orlando
For
fans.
sure, Ryan.
Yeah,
Ryan's
so
awesome.
Ryan's my guy, so he'll be here next week. And then when you're talking about the kids too, man, I feel you because I also have two young sons, and my guy Chris Seitz up here, he's got 5 kids, so he's the real expert. But it can be tough some days for sure with kids. And I think, like I've been mentioning, like writing down what you're grateful for, I swear it makes a big difference. Like if you write down the things you're grateful for with your kids, you can reflect on that when they don't want to go to bed or they don't want to like put their shoes on or whatever. Like in those tough moments, I feel like being able to like go back and see the things you wrote down. And another thing that I've been doing with my kids too is just like I just have a notes folder in my phone or whatever, and I just write down like the funny thing that they say or do. Like I'll just write down if my son, like, he said a funny word or he did something funny, and I feel like just those little things and writing it down and be able to like go back to it. I don't know. For at least for
Hmm.
me, it's really helpful. It's because, like you said, it is tough. It is tough raising kids, but it's also beautiful. And
Yeah.
so, like, being able to reflect on those beautiful moments and have those ones written down so that you
Yeah,
could.
and writing slows you down, right? And it allows you to kind of really be more introspective about what you're feeling, what you're thinking, instead of spitting it all out. And a lot of times, if I have a tough message to say to anybody that I love, and I know it's gonna kind of maybe come out a little funny, you know what I mean? I like to write it, so I know that I can write and express myself a little bit better in writing. And I think when I'm writing some of the stuff that feels good to me or like that I'm grateful for, that really it kind of touches the same nerve and the same root. And hey, a quick note on Hollingshead, man. I was, he's a new player to Los Angeles, and I've learned a lot from about him lately. He did have a pretty nasty, near end career ending injury, and I'm sure you guys will touch on that and about being grateful. He's a guy that's pretty connected with his faith, and has been an example for the community. He's from LA. I didn't know that. He went to UCLA as well. So he has some LA connections, but I'm really excited to talk, to hear from him, because there's a guy that's probably grateful with him, because turning his career around is, in my opinion, one of the best left back in MLS. And I will definitely make sure all the LAFC guys are going to be here to listen to what he's got to say, man.
Love that. Yeah, Ryan's a good guy, and I've actually had Ryan on before too. So you can check out I think it's on YouTube. If you just YouTube Tuesdays with Tesho's, I did an episode with him before, so you can
Cool.
check it out there. Yeah, and I've done a few other ones.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
anybody
thank
else,
you.
like I see a lot of same faces, a lot of new faces in the crowd. Like, guys, please come up, talk to us. We're here to just chill. Don't be. I know sometimes maybe people get nervous or whatever. Come up here, ask your questions, or just share how you just practice gratefulness in your own life, different stuff like that. I'd love to hear from you guys. Cody, what's up, bro?
I remember our spaces we had during New Year's whenever you said about journaling, and I still been doing that. But it's just so cool to hear you say like whenever like your kids have a funny moment, you like to write it down. I think that's like a very I don't know. That's a very uh, crazy thing to do, but at the same time, it's something like motivating. It's awesome. It's awesome to hear somebody else's opinion about that. So, I mean, just the journaling and I don't know, just taking notes is just crazy. And being, I don't know how to say it, like being grateful for the small things by taking notes. I definitely will start doing that.
Yeah, I think Back in Black said it right. Like, just writing stuff down, it just slows you down, really. Like, it makes you really reflect on, like, all the emotions and thoughts that are going through your head. Like, because when you write it down, you have to, like, literally put it into clear words. So I think that it helps. And two, with the notes, like, I think it's going to be cool one day when my kid's, like, older and I just, like, drop down a list of 1,000, like, funny or cool things that he did his whole life. So I'm looking forward to that moment, too. Chris, what's up, bro? What's up, Back in Black? You were going to say something?
Oh, I think I accidentally touched
Okay,
my
yeah.
microphone. I do have another question, but I want to give everybody the benefit here. But if I can
No, go
keep
for it.
shooting,
Go
I have
for
a
it.
quick question
Yes,
myself.
sir. Go for it.
So yeah, again, as professional athletes, you talked a little bit about that, and we have quite a few of you guys here. How do you remain grateful for your present, which is your professional athlete career, but at the same time prepare for your future, which, again, unfortunately in your field, your career is abridged and you have to pivot into something different. And how do you keep that in front of your mind without really going crazy, right? And this is kind of duo. I mean, hey, my career might end one day, but now I got to think about the next thing. But I'm so grateful for it. How do you manage?
Go ahead, Adam.
For any of you, yes.
If Adam's still there, I think.
Tesh, yeah, you lead off. Sorry, I was just catching up with Morgan about something.
Okay, no worries. I think Chris, like if Chris is there too, he would probably have a great perspective on this because he just retired recently. But for me, I think, yeah, like I don't know. I think you got to live in the moment first of all because we're only, like you said, athletes for such a short period of time. So you really do have to enjoy it while it lasts. Because even for me, man, it seems like it flew by. Like I'm already in my 9th year as a pro. It's kind of crazy to think about. So yeah, just living in the moment. But I also think like kind of thinking about life after soccer and kind of preparing yourself is helpful, or maybe not life after, but just life outside of soccer too. Like just having other hobbies and other just like interests, like me doing this, or like I'm super into
Yeah.
real estate investing. I think stuff like that just kind of helps you just keep in balance soccer wise, like because the ups and downs of soccer will happen, but if you have like another outlet in your life where you can, like right here, I'm just chilling, hanging out with you guys, or if I'm investing or I got my kids, like having stuff outside of it helps. I don't know, balance
You
life
don't
out
put
in
all
a
your
pretty good
eggs in
way.
one basket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, who was that? I was talking to someone I forgot now, but it was also an athlete, and he was basically saying the same thing. He's trying to get involved into a lot of different things so he doesn't get in one box, and I think that's important. And to me, I was a former banker, and now I'm a data engineer for a sports book type business. And I've always sort of been dynamic, and I love to also be a creator. But to me, I'm always thinking about the next step, and I'm always have a plan, right? And I always like have a vision of where I want to be. So again, sky's the limit. Again, I was a banker and I did this for 10 years, but that didn't stop me from becoming an engineer and dealing with numbers because that's all what I loved. So no matter what the career is, no matter what you do, keep it positive. Go out, go after your dreams because I mean, sky's the limit. If you write it down, put it down as a goal, right? And then you go after it, which has been a big part of what kind of like my meditation. It's like, what do I want to accomplish? And then set goals and set timelines as well. It's a big part of it. Is it can I accomplish this in 3 months, or do I need 3 years? I know guys have built great social presence, but it took them 3 years, and people want to do it in like 2 weeks. So again, whatever you're trying to do, keep at it, guys. Keep at it. It's a long game, and I think persistence and repetition is really what gets you there. Sorry,
speaking my language, man. You're speaking
Rant
my
over.
language. No, I love all of that, man. Consistency is so key. So many people just give up on, whether it's like you start a journaling practice, but then you stop it after 1 week, like, or you start writing down what you're grateful for, but you stop it after 1 week. Like, you're not going to see the benefits until you do it for like 1 month, 2 months, a year. Like it just starts compounding on itself. So, yeah, just like having just like good thoughts, all that stuff. Like, just give it time to compound. Like, stick to the process, believe in it. We got my guy, not Mike Duncan. Definitely not Mike Duncan is in here. What's up, Mike? Or not Mike?
Good. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. We got to keep it on the down low,
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, Kelly kind of mentioned some stuff earlier, and you guys were chatting about, competing for positions in your profession, and it just got me thinking about something I've always struggled with is, like I guess it's kind of a confidence issue, but like imposter syndrome, where, I am competent at what I do, but there's always a feeling that like, oh, comparing myself to others, what are other people doing? I'd just be curious, like, if you guys have, experienced that throughout your career and what you've done to kind of get past that. Because I feel like you don't become, successful athletes like yourselves while still having that. But it feels like, especially when you're younger, you're coming out of college and getting drafted. You're telling us like, oh yeah, I'll be an engineer in a couple of years, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I'm competing for a starting position on this team. Like, just curious what you guys think about that.
No, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of athletes, I think everyone, honestly, at the end of the day, feels like some sort of imposter syndrome. It's just normal as people. A few things is like, as you get to know different people, you realize like nobody has it as together as you think from the outside. Like, that's number one. Like, you see whoever you're talking about, like in your job or whatever, and it looks like they're just crushing it. But I think as you get to know people, you just realize like everyone's human. Everyone's got their good days, their bad days, their flaws, the things they're good at. So that's one thing. And another thing that's helped me like kind of with imposter syndrome in soccer is just getting the reps in, man, because it's like, once you prove to yourself that you can do it, it's like if I'm going to go do a finishing drill in practice, and we got Chris and Adam up here, I've scored so many goals on both of those guys, it's hard to even count. But like, right. So like if we're doing a finishing drill, like, and I know I've been there before, like I've scored that goal, like I know I can hit that shot. And so just like having proven it to yourself in the past, I think it kind of helps you get over that. So like if it's in your job, maybe you just like write down the accomplishments that you've had or whatever in your career, and you keep a list of that for yourself, and you're just like, yo, I know I can do this. Like, I've done this in the past. I can do the same quality work as anybody else here. I think that kind of helps, if that makes sense. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to start journaling. And it's funny, it's something my sister, I have a twin sister who has been doing that for years, and I'm sure when I mention it to her, she's going to be like, well, I've been telling you to do that. That's exactly how she sounds, by the way. But it's definitely something that I think would be helpful, because like I used to look at things like, positive affirmations, that, writing stuff like that down and just being like, what's that actually going to do? And then the beginning of this year, I actually started doing it. And it's like, oh yeah, when I actually write these things down that are positive things, it actually helps. But I also love a nice pen and a nice notebook. So that's going to be a really good excuse to hop on Amazon and buy something really nice for myself. But yeah, thanks. That's really good insight, because whenever I mention it to people who I work with, they're like, what are you talking about? Like,
they're lying. They're
like
lying.
Journal thing.
No, they're lying, man. Come on. Everybody feels it. But yeah, I think definitely, like, I felt exactly. Sorry, I feel like I cut you off. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was excited.
Oh no, just saying, like, they always act surprised. They're like, wait, how do you feel imposter syndrome? Like we work with you, we see what you do. You're competent. You do a great job at what you're doing, and it's almost like you have to learn to take praise sometimes.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I thought you were going another direction with that. I thought you were going to say that they said they don't feel it, but you took it another way. So sorry for cutting you off.
Oh, dude, you're
Um,
good. You're good.
yeah, yeah. It's funny because kind of my sister deals with that a little bit, like the same situation that you're talking about. Like she's really good at her job, but she's always like, "Am I really though? Am I really though?" So it's kind of funny to hear that you're doing the same thing. But I swear that journaling makes a big deal, and I was just like you. Like I thought it was just like, okay, why do I really need to write it down? How can it make that much of a difference than if I'm just like thinking about things? But for whatever reason, it does, man. And if you haven't read the book Atomic Habits, I always recommend that book. That book is super good, and that's kind of what got me like, I don't know, that book definitely changed my life. So I would definitely recommend that book. And just yeah, like especially if you're killing it at work and everybody's telling you that, yo, believe it, dude. You know you're crushing it. Come on.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like I got like this President's Award in December. Like it was this big thing, and I'm still like, there was a whole thing where like actually one of my managers didn't want me to get it, but because she was bad at her job, so that was a whole other dramatic thing that was actually kind of funny. But it's like I look at this and it's like obviously like I'm doing a good job, and it's just reminding yourself of that. It's like when you have to actually write it down, it's like you have a physical thing there to read and go, oh yeah, no, I don't suck at my job. I'm just being too hard on myself. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think like Kelly said earlier, you know, as you'll be able to see like you now versus you 2 years ago or whatever, you'd be like, damn, like
Yeah,
I'm way better than I was 2 years ago. So
I'm way better than I was a couple weeks ago. So
exactly like that, and if you can like track that, it helps a lot.
yeah,
I
thanks, man. I'll,
think
I'll defer to Fabian. His arm's got to be aching. He's had that hand raised for a while.
yeah,
So
he's been up there. What's up, Fabian?
Hey, thanks, man. Thank you for caring about my arm. I wanted to ask the players up here, were you guys ever grateful when you moved to a new city, or did you have to go ahead and see how like more grateful you are because you missed your old city? I wanted to go ahead and see what you guys think.
I love that you asked that just because Tesho and I talk about this a lot. And I think we talked about it when we were in Portland just this last weekend. For sure, man. Like every time you go to a new city, it's a totally new adventure, it's a new experience. And I feel like I've lived in some great cities and some interesting cities. I've loved everyone for their own reasons, but it's again, it's all perspective. Like the first team I played for was in Rochester, New York, and I was like, this is sick. Like I'm making money playing soccer. This city's great. You know, I didn't know any better. And then I went to St. Louis and I was like, oh wow, St. Louis is really cool too. Like this might be even more fun. And then I came to Orlando and I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. So it's perspective more than anything. But I know Tesho for sure loved his time in Dallas, and then he came to Orlando and he's like, oh man, this is a totally different animal. So you can definitely speak to it, Tesh.
Yeah, I love Orlando. I do. I love living in Orlando. And I honestly like I just have this mentality that I just really believe everything's gonna work out for me. Um, and so like you know when I was moving from Dallas to Orlando, that was the only time I've ever switched teams. You know, it was pretty uncertain. I was about to have my first baby. Like literally, my son was born 4 days after my wife got to Orlando. So it was like a pretty chaotic time in my life. But I just kind of I don't know, like I just embraced it and I thought, you know, like things are always going to work out, and it more than has worked out. I feel like for me, I've loved Orlando so much, such a cool city that I would have, you know, not come to otherwise. So I think just honestly, I think having that mindset, like if you think things are going to work out for you, they kind of do. So all right, we got. I don't know, Kelly. You had your hand up. You might have put it down now though.
Yeah, I actually just wanted to kind of respond to Mike, kind of not Mike, and just kind of say that another way to help battle with imposter syndrome is, especially if like you feel it in yourself, you might say, oh, you know, so and so has this much stuff that they've already talked about it. So and so knows so much more than I do, but nobody knows it from your perspective. Nobody can tell it in the story that you can tell it, and nobody can experience it the way you have experienced it. So if you need to reassure yourself, yeah, sure, you know, maybe somebody has gone so much further than you, but they didn't start where you started. And I bet you a lot more people are going to relate to the fact that you started where you started versus where they started. So I highly recommend also doing something like that, where instead of feeling like an imposter, say, no, I am fully committed and telling this story from my perspective, and nobody else can do that. So there's no way you could be an imposter.
I love that. Everybody's got their own path.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I put my hand up, I was just going to say something like silly about how all these professional athletes that love Orlando need to start doing like these tourism videos and say like, it's not all just like bath salts and gators and Florida men here. And then Kelly hit me with that truth bomb, and I'm like, I don't even know what to say. But yeah, that's definitely something that I've tried to do a lot more. Is just you know I'm on my own path. I need to stop comparing myself to other people. But more so, if I see somebody and it's like, oh, I wish I could do that, it's like, why can't I? Like, why can't I move forward and do that myself?
For sure. Back in Black, what's up, man?
Yeah, just quick note. So the challenge, however, is we're encouraged to compare ourselves, right? In sports, there's standings, there's stats. This is what I do. I love to break down stats. Comparison and ranking makes us comfortable. It makes our brain understand the world, right? Ranking helps humans break down the world, right? You can rank things. Oh, do I want an apple or a banana, right? The simplest of the decisions. Ranking helps you as a human being kind of get to the end, right? So it's hard not to compare yourself to the next person, but to me, it's about thinking less of a comparison and more of benchmarking. And I believe someone said you can use anything as a benchmark. You can use a version of yourself in the past as a benchmark, right? Or you can inspire to be someone, or to be as good as someone, as Carlos Vela, as you mentioned, Tesho, right? Like there's always aspiration, but comparison probably is the best to just compare it with yourself, right? So you can try to improve, or and if you and then also to catch when you're kind of falling behind. So and that's when I believe metrics come into play. Like, what are you tracking? Is it your sleep? Is it your weight? And those are maybe signs that you may need to do something. But at the end of the day, to me, benchmarking is necessary for humans, right? Because that's how our brains are wired. But beyond that, you know what I mean? It has to be used to your advantage versus to get your ego going. I don't know, maybe I went too far there, but I just kind of wanted to, as a metrics guy, you can use comparison to help you, but you can't let the ego think that to drive, right? You can just use that as a data point to help you maybe make better decisions in your life so that you can accomplish everything that you're looking for.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think just zooming out too, like, if you kind of zoom out, you'll realize you're on your own path. Like you're not really competing with anybody else because your life is going a way different direction. Even in sports, like the people that I was quote unquote competing with as a rookie, like I'm on a different team or in a different country than them now. So like I'm literally on my own journey. I'm only competing with myself. And that's where you would think like competition is direct, and even then in the sports, like if you zoom out enough, you realize it's just you versus you.
You're right, but to me, I couldn't be in sales, for example, right? And I know some of us, like, the whole idea of being number one was like too much for me. I needed to be something that was not as competitive, to be honest. And then my career flourished, so it did have a negative impact on me, and I can see again the competitive professions require I think a little bit of a higher mindset, and I think athletes have them, and you guys are able to compete in a way that a lot of us in the non-athlete world cannot, because it's tough for us sometimes if you're a salesperson to be in the bottom of the barrel. It really is.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Kelly, what's up?
I was just going to respond to, well, I'm sorry, every time I see your name, I think of the ACD song, so I really want to be like, Back in Black. But, so I think a lot of that is just, it's kind of holding yourself accountable. Whether it's talking, what you're grateful for in the day, journaling, kind of doing anything that keeps you comparing yourself from your past self that's what helps you hold yourself accountable. And that's so hard to do sometimes. And I think especially as you guys with athletes, and I would love to hear your guys' opinions because I am by me no athlete, but I think that's one thing that you need as an athlete is to hold yourself accountable, to draw that line and hold yourself to it so that you keep going and you can draw that line further and further and further. Because without that accountability piece of it, you will just spin in circles.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's like Back in Black said, just, setting a benchmark for yourself, whether you use other people or whatever, set a goal and writing it down. And I think like bringing it back to gratitude too, is just like, and being grateful for every step along the way, like as you keep improving, or just like even the journey, like be grateful for the whole journey, like whatever, whether you're trying to move up in your job or you're trying to be the best pro soccer player ever or the best salesman, like if you don't enjoy the process and like be grateful for every step of the way, the finish line is not going to be worth it, so just kind of just staying grateful along the way, I think, because that's where it's all at. Like it's all the journey, like if you're a soccer player and you want to win MLS Cup, you spend 99.99% of your time preparing for that, and like that's the whole thing, and like if you win it, that it's there and over in an instant. And it's like that with anything in life. So I think being grateful just along the way really helps keep you going, keep you grounded, keep you motivated, stuff like that. We got like 7 minutes left. Usually I try to stop it at the end of the hour. So if anybody else wants to hop up, I'd love to hear from you guys. Just hit the request and I'll get you guys up here. In the meantime, Back in Black, man, it sounds like nobody's got anything right now. So if you want to ask a soccer question or something like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on. And again, I don't even have a question other than, what do you expect of this game? And when you have a visitor from another coast coming in, I understand the conferences and we understand our, you guys can see the little ones getting upset, but you see what I'm talking about earlier. But, so tell me a bit about preparation when you have an opponent just coming in from like all over the other side of the country. And at the same time, if you can talk a little bit about traveling in MLS, to me, that's still sort of the uncracked code of American sports. You have LAFC traveling to Florida twice, but do you treat so the question is two, right? Like one is, do you treat an opponent from all across the country the same way that you would treat someone that you've played several times in the last couple of years? And secondly, what's up with travel in MLS? Is it a factor really, or is it just us making a big deal out of nothing because you guys always travel in nice planes?
So to the first part of your question, playing opponents that we're kind of unfamiliar with, like someone from a different conference, that's where our coaching staff really comes in clutch, because they're the one, like it's their job to watch all the games. Like, of course, we watch MLS games, but we don't watch all of them, so they're the ones who got to watch all the games, get all the footage, and then break it down for us, tell us what to expect in the game, prepare a game plan for us, like what to expect from certain individual players. So I think that the coaching staff comes in huge, especially with teams we're unfamiliar with, because, like let's say Cincinnati, who we just played recently from the Eastern Conference, like we've played them a bunch in the last few years, and we know the guys on their team, and we know like their tendencies and stuff more so than we do a team like LAFC, who, like you said, we didn't play since the bubble. So we definitely lean on our coaching staff and their expertise. And honestly, like in my opinion, our coaching staff they got to be one of the top in the league, and like the amount of research they do. These guys are relentless, so they always get us prepared. And then the second question, travel. I think, right now, speaking of gratitude, like there's two really good things that changed actually from COVID travel related. One is that we've been chartering flights everywhere. So before we used to just take like normal commercial flights, which it wasn't great, and especially if you're in some of the smaller markets like Columbus and Kansas City, they had to transfer everywhere or like connect, so they had no direct flights anywhere. So I think it was really tough for those guys. And now that we have charter flights all the time, I think that has made travel a lot easier. And with charter flights has also come the ability to just fly home right after the game. So like right now, we just played Portland on Sunday afternoon, and literally the game was over at 3. We were at the airport by like 5 and in the air and flew back. Whereas back in the day, you would play the game, you would spend the night there and then fly home. So I think travel has been made a lot easier with charter flights. And another thing they did with COVID is give us our own hotel rooms, because before COVID, we used to have to share hotel rooms. And like, Chris is up here. He was my roommate for a long time, and he was a great roommate, but I would still rather have my own room. Like, I think that you can just get more rest with your own room. You can do stuff on your own schedule. Like, because when you have a roommate, you have to consider what time do they want to go to sleep, and if everybody has their own game day routine, all that stuff. And so I think being able to have your own room has also made travel a lot easier. So it's still difficult, of course, because, like you said, we played in LA 2 weeks ago, came back, then we flew to Portland. Those are 2 5-hour or 6-hour flights. But I think it's not too bad because of the changes that have been made.
Very good. Seems like the league's it's on in. It's good to see its growth. And again, I just want to reiterate and say I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be here and talk to you. We don't have opportunities to talk to professional athletes and taking questions from someone that supports another team. But at the same time, I'm a huge supporter. I'm Brazilian as well, so another Brazilian that you know. And at the end of the day, I'm just very, very, very grateful for the growth of our league that provides opportunity for athletes like you to have a career and appreciate a city like Orlando, right? A true American city that not a lot of people know about, but has a quality of life. As far as quality of life goes, it's it's a great place to live. So, thank you so much for being for allowing me to be here and get some questions out. And good luck.
Man.
Good luck
Thank
this
you.
weekend.
Thank you.
I believe you're playing the best team in the league. That's what I think of LA.
Yeah, that's what
so
you got to do as a fan. Of course, you got to ride for your boys. So for sure. And like I said, man, I'm here every Tuesday. So whenever you want to
be back.
come talk to us. Yeah, and next week especially, we got Ryan Hollingshead coming on, talking about real estate, because he's a big time real estate investor.
Nice.
But yeah, man, we're right here up against the hour, so I think it's a good time to kind of wrap it up. I just want to sum up, I guess, for people who are just tuning in, kind of. I think, we went a little bit all over the place, which is great, but I want to bring it back to just gratitude at the end of the day. And just the main things I want to leave you guys with is just, if there's one thing you do every single day, try to write down 3 things you're grateful for, and literally write it down on a piece of paper or on your computer, whatever. I know it sounds corny. I used to think that. I swear it makes a big difference. And I know a lot of people too. There's a ton of athletes who do the same thing, and they swear by it. So write down things you're grateful for. I think it makes a huge difference in your life. And other than that, guys, I appreciate you coming here. If you miss part of this recording, they're going to be on YouTube. And if you missed any of the last weeks, they're all on YouTube. Go check it out. Tuesdays with Tesho. Follow Adam on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. Definitely. Follow Back in Black on Twitter. He has some great questions. Maybe get some enemy info. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.